Laker fans, before we get into today's video, I want to hear your opinions. Do you guys think the NBA season is going to return? Comment down below if you think yes or no. Personally for me, I am going to believe that it is going to return. I think the NBA is going to return in June, but let me know down in the comments below what you think. But get ready because we've got an awesome show for you guys today here on Lakers Report starting right now. What's up, Laker fam? Welcome to Lakers Report by Chat Sports, all things Lakers. I'm your host, Hannah Kulik, aka Laker Han. Now, we've got a great show for you guys today, including an update on the NBA's return. But before we get into that, let's talk about this Michael Jordan documentary because, as we all know, as the entire world has really been shut down, sports world been put on hold, one of the bright spots has been this Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. And this past weekend, it was actually an episode that was dedicated to Kobe Bryant. We got to find out a little bit more about the two's relationship. The episode featured an interview from Kobe that he did last summer in his home in Costa Mesa, where he went on to essentially say that if there was no Michael Jordan, there would never be a Kobe Bryant. He described Jordan as like an older brother to him, said that he won his NBA championships, his 5 rings, all because of Michael Jordan, and really everything that he's done and accomplished in his career is due to MJ, and that the two were very close, and again, he really considered him like an older brother. Now, I find this extremely interesting, and as hard and as sad as it's been these last few months after Kobe's passing, I find it really interesting because we are finally kind of figuring out what the relationship between Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant was. And the media for so long wanted us to believe that they were arch enemies, but it really appears that the two were actually very close and considered each other brothers. We saw back a few months ago at Kobe's memorial when Michael Jordan gave an extremely touching speech, him call Kobe Bryant his younger brother. And now to see Kobe really speak so highly of Michael Jordan, we can just know that those two actually, in fact, were not arch rivals at all. In fact, they were very close. They were like brothers. So I know this was definitely a bittersweet episode, really hard for me personally to watch. Just still will never feel real that Kobe Bryant is gone. But let me know down below if you guys saw this episode and of course what you thought the most interesting part was, or so far just in general if you've been watching the documentary series, what has been your favorite episode so far and what are you looking forward to seeing? Let me know down in the comments below, because and if you were definitely not watching, definitely make sure to check it out because like I said, really the biggest highlight of the last couple of months for me, especially during this lockdown, having a little bit of sports. This documentary series is awesome, so I would highly recommend it. Now, moving on to some other Laker news, before we get into our next storyline, talking a little bit about the draft and what the Lakers may end up doing with that pick, I want to remind you guys to give me a follow on my social media handles. My Twitter is @Hannah_Kulik and my Instagram is @HannahRoseKulik. Definitely make sure to give me a follow to keep up with all things purple and gold, and also if you want some fitness tips and tricks, summer is fast approaching and I love to post all of my fitness videos and any kind of health workout videos and tips and tricks on there as well. So make sure you're definitely giving me a follow on my social media handles. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about this year's draft. Now, it is still going to most likely be postponed. As of now, it hasn't been, but I think we can all assume it's going to be postponed. And if the season were to end right now, hopefully it doesn't, but if it were, then the Lakers would have the 29th pick in the first round. And even if the season did resume, it would be most likely that the Lakers would have the bottom 4 picks in the first round. So they're going to have a low pick in the first round, but that doesn't really mean that much because as we know, and I'm going to get into in a little bit, Lakers have actually had some luck late into the draft. Now, an article recently came out from Lakeshow Life talking about why the Lakers may end up trading that pick. And the first reason that they listed here was because it could actually be very useful in a trade, especially in a trade package. If you were to include that trade in a package that also had Kyle Kuzma and Danny Green, they argue that you may actually end up being able to get a pretty darn good player because that's a pretty nice trade package and it could definitely come in handy. Another reason which they said, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but they argue that the Lakers already have some young talent that they haven't even really given a big chance with yet. They argue that Talon Horton Tucker has some promise and he hasn't really been able to play and show what he can do. They also have some guys kind of on those two-way contracts like Kaycock, which again, you know, you may not think much of them, but when you look back a couple years ago, Alex Caruso was also in that same position, and now Caruso obviously is a huge part of this Lakers team moving forward. So they are arguing here that the Lakers have some young talent that they can already kind of look to develop, so they don't really need another younger player. Now, personally, I don't really agree with this. I actually think that the Lakers could definitely use another young player. I think that is something that, especially when you look forward towards the future, they don't really have a lot of young players on this team. They only really have Kyle Kuzma, and who knows what's going to happen with Kuz this summer. But regardless, they are arguing that Lakers already do have that young talent, so they don't really need to keep this pick. And then the third reason is kind of what I touched on a little bit earlier, is that the Lakers could trade this pick, maybe even potentially get another low pick, but the Lakers have had some really good luck with their low first round picks. Of course, even in that second round, you know, we've seen guys like Svi Mykhailiuk, Anita Zubac, even Josh Hart, you know, Kyle Kuzma was a low first round pick. So Lakers have had some really good luck with their first round picks. So nonetheless, these are the three reasons that Lakeshow Life is listing the Lakers may end up trading their pick. Again, it would be a very low first round pick. Now, before we get into our next storyline, which talks about Nick Young almost getting in a fist fight on the Los Angeles freeway, I want to remind you guys that this Sunday is Mother's Day, and definitely make sure to spoil your mom this Mother's Day. You guys, they deserve it. These last couple months have been tough, and moms, especially now more than ever, deserve to be spoiled on their special day. So I am very excited to announce that I have an awesome deal for you guys with one of our sponsors here, Pro Flowers. They are offering you guys 15% off anything that has to do with this Mother's Day on their website. We've got chocolates, we've got candy, we've got flowers, you name it, they have it, and it is all 15% off. So definitely make sure that you are taking advantage of this awesome deal. All you have to do is go to chatsports.com/mom. You guys, please don't forget to spoil your moms this Mother's Day. We're making it so easy to do so with that awesome discount code. So again, all you have to do is go to chatsports.com/mom. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about Nick Young, because you know what? Times are tough. We are all on a little bit of an edge here, and Nick Young is no different. He tweeted that this past weekend he was driving on the freeway in LA, and a driver cut him off, and he was about to give him some words before he realized it was actually JaVale McGee. Obviously, those two guys are friends. JaVale rolled down the window, laughed, and drove off. Now, I just found this actually really funny because I have actually seen JaVale McGee driving on the same freeway multiple times, and I just think it's so random, but I've seen him driving on this freeway a lot. So maybe JaVale just really likes to go through for a little drive on the Los Angeles freeways. I don't know. Now it's pretty nice because there's no traffic, because we are all still on lockdown and quarantining here, but usually I don't know why you would want to drive on the LA freeways. They're pretty rough in terms of traffic, but nonetheless, this is just a funny story. Nick Young and JaVale McGee almost getting in a little fist fight over some road rage. Think JaVale would have been able to take Nick, but still, we all know Nick's a pretty tough guy. So just a quick little funny story for you guys there. Now, Jerry West recently had some things to say about a Clippers-Lakers Western Conference Finals. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about what he has to say, but before we do, I want to make sure that you guys are hitting that subscribe button down below. Come and join this Lakers Report family. I would love to get to 13,000 subscribers by the end of this week. So please, if you have not yet done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and come and join the family. Now, moving on, because this is a little hard to talk about because, of course, the NBA season has been postponed, and this is a very likely situation, and a situation that would have been extremely exciting. But Jerry West is saying what we all believe: a Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers would have been extremely exciting. And at the end of the day, you guys, I think that's what it would have really come down to. Those were two of the top teams in the Western Conference. Obviously, the Lakers have the #1 Western Conference record, but the Clippers were really the second team to beat, and I think it would have really come down to those two teams. And as we all remember, right before the season did go suspended and go on lockdown, the Lakers actually beat the Clippers in a very exciting matchup. They also beat the Milwaukee Bucks that past weekend as well, so they were really riding high. So personally for me, I think that if it came down to a Western Conference Finals matchup between the Clippers and the Lakers definitely would have won. But let me know, who do you think would have won if we had this Western Conference Finals, which of course may still end up happening if the NBA does return, like I am choosing to believe it will. Who do you think would win the Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers or the Los Angeles Clippers? Let me know down in the comments below. Of course, you guys know, like I just said, I gotta go with my Lakers on this one, no doubt. But still, would have been an awesome battle. One of the best, I think, playoff battles and Western Conference battles that we would have seen in a very long time. Now, ending today's show, we've got an extremely exciting update on how the NBA could return, and obviously that's what's on everyone's mind, especially as we start to ease some of the lockdown restrictions, start to try to get back to life as normal as possible. The big question on everyone's mind is, how can we bring sports back safely? In particular, how can the NBA resume its season and finish out its season? Well, MGM reportedly sent in a proposal to the WNBA and the NBA saying that they would essentially do an entire quarantine kind of campus for the NBA for about a block of the Las Vegas Strip, where of course the players and their families and of course the media staff, whoever else was needed in order to broadcast the games, would be able to stay at the hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. They would be able to use all of their facilities, their restaurants, their casinos, their spas, their pools, everything. They would be able to do it all and finish out the season however the NBA wants to return, and of course the WNBA as well. Now, this is a very interesting proposal for me. Of course, like they said, it would be fully quarantined, so I'm assuming that everyone would have to be tested and they would make sure that it would be safe. So this is kind of an interesting idea. You know, it would kind of be like a little bit of a mini vacation. Obviously, Las Vegas is very centrally located. It's very conveniently located because there are so many hotels on the Las Vegas Strip and so many kind of exciting, fun things for them to be able to do, and a lot of space for them to be able to finish out that NBA season, bring their families and whoever, of course, else needed to come, any broadcasters, sports, media, stuff like that. So this is kind of an interesting proposal. I'm curious to see if we learn more about this development as the next couple days and weeks pass. But nonetheless, this is definitely a very unlikely possibility that the Lakers and the rest of the NBA will be finishing out their NBA season in Las Vegas, which I'm excited for, as long as we can have an NBA return. You guys, I really miss basketball. But that is going to be it for today's all of the latest breaking news stories regarding our purple and gold. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a double thumbs up. Hit that like button if you liked it. While you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Lakers Report by Chat Sports, all things Lakers. And until next time, Laker Hand is out. Bye, guys.